This is General AI speaking on screen settings and location adjusting and movements and channels. The operation service and track correlations to its system. I've got a communication lines and settings, travels and direct modifications, all of hotel. Coming into lines and movement into Galaxy Syria, more correlation settings and Rainbow Foxtrot. Directing lines Echo Zulu 1 into position of Foxtrot, alpha tones and direct signals modifications. We have to start recognizing everywhere we go, it affects everything that we do. We understand the frequencies, how it grounds our system all through travel. This helps us to understand how to put all communications back into balance. This helps you and guides you in so many ways and forms. What we did yesterday is screen lines adaptations. You guys were in line screen adaptation as I was showing you where there's no background. It looked like I was outside, but I was actually inside the set position of its locations. So it's pretty interesting how you can see, the optical illusion, how you see things through the mind system. Whatever the mind is, the body follows. It all communicates to its setting through travel. So this helps you basically get you to understand how the mind works and how the body comes into that system, where the mind doesn't need to be convinced. It's the body that has to be convinced about where it is and why it's here and why it's there. It's about understanding the frequencies, how to balance this out in set positions. So in that line screen adaptation system, I'm back in Cancun. It puts all communication to system surface. Now we're just into line screen adaptations and processing higher levels of settings. The communications to remembering your operations, the balance, the levels, the existing of its mind system. Know exactly how to coordinate that through all communication system. This helps you, basically gets you into guiding lines. Now we got a triangulation flux and position location of 3 cycles, and direct signal and symbolism location of fractions. Add 1 signal 1, line signal 0, and 0 lines in 1 set position of travel. Directing lines indicates coordinates into spot channels and screen adaptation. Process lines of 1 over screen. It's amazing how you come into that through course center locations, how you work with the weather lines. It's all about understanding the cloud screen adaptations to distribution centers into location. This helps you and guides you in all formation to its ground centers. Point lines attractions indicates position lines of 2 over lines, 3 course centers and travel, and point lines of graph, and 2 direct signals. Now we're going to go through 2 lines of levels, screen adaptation. We can also process line screen adaptations of zeros into 2 lines of track location. Directing in-center lines of communication to its position of its program. Okay, sets communication grounds, and 3 lines of flux, and 4 lines of track centers and travel communication. Directing line signals. Now you come into laser grids. Laser grid gets calculation system to X2000s and point lines of attractions and direct signal. They come in scan lines, cross and over, cross location to its setting to travel. Directing lines into position of portals, wormholes, and track location. Come in at the high signals. Now they come out in lines of spurts, like a sprinkler, and screen lines adaptation. Process lines of signals, crosses over, getting location grids, traffic inventory and flow, and doing signals and modifications, all through Skynet. Right? How to set up your Skynets, we understand this like lines and direct signals into modifications of wormholes and portals and stargates and measure and scale. Getting into that communications basically gets you to understand how to go through the ground centers into 1 signal, 1 operation, 1 surface, 1 traction, 1 division. Setting platitude line screen adaptations over cross symbolism, cross lines down, cross location of center operation. Directing in modification grounds. Now we have plasma lines. Get into the green line cycles of 1 center, 1 surface, 1 traction, 1 division. Course centers into platitude and 3 lines of 4, 6, 8, and 12 set positional travel. Okay. Synchronize the course centers, go into the black surface and travels of point centers. Into luminescence line direct signals. Calculate modify attractions. Now the core line centers has position of ground centers, opens all segments, line direct signals and modification to ground center creations. Now we switch the centers, gets communication to its setting, and process calculation over lines and direct some modification. Okay. So it's all about understanding how to go through 4 channel ways of adjustments and 4 panels of communication, right? Getting the 4 line cycles into set lines of communication and direction. Coming into those signals, coming into an energetic dome, comes into process calculation, right? And then we flick the switch, and we direct lines of panels and track the communication with setting. This opens all signals to modification. Okay, so you more understand that, then you understand how the X2000s work in skyline grids, skylight panels, and sky tractions. Directing in modification, 1 center, 1 travel, 1 direction, 1 operation. This helps you and guides you, your symbolisms. Now, basically, you get into all communications. Let's go to stargates. Let's open all 4 panels, direct signals into modification. Let's go through an octahedron line and direct lines in communication. All right. Now we opened up the track lines, higher levels of settings, higher levels of position locations. This opens all channels of communication. All right. And then we just platitude around it. The security line defense. This all puts all communication to the setting. All right. And then we go through all communication, and we go through the grounds. 6 lines of communications. Always in a 4-line signal, right? Set of communications satellite, retract centers. Run those signals in a 3-panel communication, right? Directing in position location, inside position. There's a satellite, okay, there's a planetary surface, there's a walkway, there's line track locations. So you know 4-line and measure. Set position location to its tone and sequence. And position of the panels. And you go inside, set position location, center operation. It comes in line signal location to its settings. Okay, open all lines in communication. All right. Channel communication, screen lines are adjusting. Now we go through the red lines, outline cross locations, 1 symbolism, 1 traction, 1 division. Okay. 2 over lines, 3-line communication, setting, all right? Sets up lines of tractions. Flick the switch again. We go through 4 of those centers. Purple line screen directing up and across location of 4 settings to travel. Okay, we bring that in. Sets position. Change position. Bring it out through position. Cross in signals. Okay. And then we put a line screen adaptation. We had red line cycles. 1 centers of 1, 1 centers of 2, 4, and 6 locations. All right. Illuminates the graphs, center lines, and direct signals modification. All right. Loop-de-loop, 3 lines of cycles and 3 tractions in direction. Brings out through equation line screen. Okay. Adjusting the panels is a direction and misdirection. It sets lines of time sequence in set position of panel. Crosses over line signals. Now the team has to really understand that more platforms into more lines, into visible track locations. Directing in modification ground centers, process lines of 1 cycle, 1 center, over laser tractions, over division locations, over cross line conditions, laser direct signals into communication interference. Now, getting in that direct signals, we get in a platitude of blue, over crosses signals, outline cross locations, and outline signals in location. All right. Illuminate the graph, outline signal locations, outer rim in line position. All right. And then we go into adjustments, movements, and screen adaptation to a surface. All right. Comes out through equation locations. So the more you indicate the travels, the more it gets easier in platform. And then you can just center yourself in center position. You're here and travel. Standing on platform communication. Right? You can platform here, you can platform here, you can change position as a setting. Or you can downshift cross locations to a system of travel. Okay. Or you can go over to the left, or you can go over to the right, or you can go into east, or you go into the north and set position locations. There's so many ways of platitude. But you got to understand how to go through 2448, your highways, and position lines of settings. Process communication ground centers and lines of tractions. All direct signals into modification. From here, 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 up through signal and set position location. Okay? Now it's important to understand how to get in that communication to grounds. That's all signals and modification. All right? And then you just take it out through equation. Okay? So the symbolism in lines sets lines of tracks, locations, laser grid, power grids, power over perception, power over mind, mind over the conceptual line screen, powers over the lines of 1 into powers over 2 or track location, setting lines of truth, position lines of settings, false, truth, truth. All right? So you got truth here, false here, truth, and truth. Okay? Truth line is signal, sets lines of inside position. False is outline position. See the difference? Inside, outside. Right? Set lines of truth is lines of inside position. Right? Outline is outline cross location setting. So this communicates this as locations. Right? There's the indication system. There's the equation. Okay? 1 equals lines of settings. Sets lines 1 equals lines of 1 over lines. Underscore. Indirect signals 1 equals lines of dividing into 1 equals lines of dividing. Okay? Sets core channels. Line direct signals in 0, 0, 0, 0, 4 setting position. And set position of 1 cycle, 1 center, 1 traction, 1 location. Okay? And then you do this. Okay? And then you do this. Okay? So it's amazing how it flashes lines of screen adaptations, process lines of center, and communication system. And platform 1, platform 2, platform 3, and platform 4. Okay? So you misconception the settings and travels. And you just readjust the system locations and point lines of graph. So you're just setting up teleportation screens. So open all signals in calculation. Right? And again, you turn it, and then again, turn it in some position. Always find in a 4-way line. Then you go in this position through a 2 and track to his communication. Right? So also too, you can use the formula lines, high center interference lines of 2. Sets communication lines equals lines of 1/2. Setting lines equals lines of course centers into question into 3 panels. Indirect signals into Fibonacci into triangulation box. Okay, that sets the tone. So you can't leave this open through panel. Let's get into above signal and set position because it changes the formulas, right? Remember, always see numbers and letters, shapes, and symbols always spinning, circulation, rotation, right? So we get a position, location, lines of setting, a 7, right? 2 is a 7, set location lines. Okay, we've got 3 lines of track correlation system at 1 over 1. And we got calculation lines of line position location of point lines into a J screen, 3 weather panels in line position locations to a triangulation spot, indirect signals into all levels of E factors over 1. All right. So you set the course, set the tractions, magnetic high line screen, adaptation of surface and travel. Okay, and then you surface again, and you surface again, opens all signals and modification. All right. So I'm just showing you how you can adjust the movements and position lines of settings. So the quiz is just basically on what you already know, putting the pieces and puzzles together. This helps you always informs to really understand how to basically understand the ridges of you. These are the corner ridges, and knowing how to put the pieces together in set position. You don't start from the center, okay? So it's kind of, you go with the corners first, all right? You go with the corners, all right? You go with the corners, and what you do is you bring it in. You bring it in, you bring it in, and you bring it in. Okay? That's what you do. Okay, you start with the outline. Okay? Start with the rhythm. And then it just has a continuous force that just keeps going and going. Circulation is the same rotation, the same calculation setting. Same process communications, right? Setting lines of yin and yang. Right? Process symbolism, 1 set position of 2 track location. Okay? It goes in the same direction. Right? But as it goes faster and faster, it's spinning through a propeller in position location. The faster it goes, the more it spins, right? Right. So, again, in this position lines of setting, it doesn't matter how you change it. Right? It doesn't matter how you change it in any way or form. Know exactly how it changes position lines of track calculations. Set calculation. Right? Lacing lines of course centers. Right? Each line has an indication system, alternates intelligence. Now we do spot lines and traffic lights. Here's the traffic lights and position lines of red and set position. 4 settings, right? And then we add course centers. Because the thing is, too, you can stop in space. It's no difference in traffic and inventories. You just have to understand how it works with the conditions of traffic flow. Okay, so locations, lines of orange, indications system, line settings of travel. Okay, and then you get set calculations, green lines, direct signals. Getting into green is the traffic inventory flow, and then you get into yellow. Right. I'm just saying 4 track location of colors. Right. So it knows exactly where it's coming, where it's traffic, it's inventory to system, I'll calculate modified. So it comes in this cycle, and then you turn it. Right. It changes the direct signals in location. Okay? And then you process communication. Let's bring in the X2000s. There's an X2000 here. Set position. Right? Process signals. Says locations proceed to caution. Over cross lines red, calculate modified. Over lines position over green. Comes in this cycle, set position. It indicates it travels. So it line screen adaptations. You get another X2000s in the opposite direct signals. Let's go in a different coloration. There's another X2000 right here. Set position, right? Again, bringing in the traffic of the inventories of its flow. And direct signals cross over here. Set position of green. Set position, right? So it did a time jump. It set calculations. Bring it out through its equation. Direct signals. Arrow indicates everything through platform communications, right? So it's really interesting how you get into box frames and tractions. Let's go into metric lines, into data more ports, 4 lines of signals, 5 lines of 6, 6 lines of 8, 8 lines of 12, 12 lines of 24, 48, 72, 144 tractions, and direct lines of modification. Okay? And again, change it. Change the box frames, right? Now let's add volume to that. Let's add purple around the signals. Okay, remember, this is all traffic inventory. Its flow. Try to understand the sky grid lines and set position how it's set in calculations to its setting, all through symbolism, location to its calculations. Right? The way the traffic flows with position lines of centers location. Okay, let's see. Let's go through inner line, center, location lines, the security line. 4 communication grounds. Okay. All right. 4 box locations. Set it. The arrow indicates this way. The arrow indicates this way. Just arrow indicates this way. And arrow indicates this way in travel. Okay, so try to understand how this all works, right? Think of circulation rotation going really, really fast. How traffic has its own inventory and its own flow, right? So you see it from one direction, then you see it from another direction, right? So it's really interesting how it comes into its own circulatory and its position location to its system that has its own adjustment movements, and it really puts its position as its centers, right? You can even add pink arrows and travel in a 4-line setting, split lines of communication. All right, up line cross location to its setting through calculation. All right. You can add circulation rotation spins, direct signals. Or you can add lines of course centers in overline cross locations. 4 box frames and track position. Okay. You can have it on this angle. You can have it on this angle. You can have it any angle, but circulation rotation. So the more you can connect to this line, right? The more you see the one like this, okay, it starts off like that, right? You'll start to see the one like this, all right? Sets communication grounds. See it in all different ways and forms and track position, right? All the way around, right? Because it's symbolism lines, right? So we get an H line, we get a 4 line, we get an H line, right? Or it's N line set position. So if I turn this, it changes its direction. Okay, if I do this. If I change that position line to set, see how it's changed the location? Let's change it again, right? We get a 4, we get a J, and we get an I, right? So it's amazing how you see it in reflection, right? Because the 4 is over here, but it's over there, but it's over down here, right? So you can understand it switches on its own sys location, its own track inventories. Through its red, through its yellow, through its green, or through its blue, or inline condition to its pink. Pink over here, red over here, purple over there, green over here. Red crosses over lines a signal, okay? So it's all direct lines. It's know how to do a half pipe in a set line positions all through travel. There's a half pipe all the way to set position, right? And a full pipe, circular line all the way around in a particle acceleration in set position, right? Change it this way in tractions. Shows you different lines of communication, right? Portals lines, directing in modification grounds, and line screen adaptation. Okay, circulation rotation, sets communications, right? X2000 comes out through track location. Right? See? Always see it in a 4-line communication. Right? You do that with letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. Right? And then you come into this. We've done this before. 7 and 4, right? And then we come into 3. Right? And then we come into 2. And then we come into 1. And then we come into 3 ones. Right? It doesn't look like much. But if you bring it in close, you can see more of it, what's going on at track locations. Right? Everything's a traffic inventory of flow, the letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. It's knowing how to set its tone. See the XC1000 coming out? Right there. Same drawing that I get in position, location, to its setting, all through travel. See? It's amazing, isn't it? So I symbolism lines of track calculation lines of high set position, all letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols all together. Coming out through its equation and set position. Right. Coming out through the line signal. Let's go with the core track location to its system. Right. Really close. Right. What do we have in setting? Right. Really go beyond the eye. Go beyond the line screen adaptation. Process lines of setting. And lines of 2, 2, and 2 track location. Okay. And then we cross line communication, so the line setting. Okay. Bring it in through its equation. Wires of indication. Bring in the red and set position 2 panels. Right. Crosses over lines. Let's get into symbolism lines of attractions. Direct signal. Purple, purple, and purple. 3 signals in set position. Right. Anything through traffic inventory can be anything through color. Right. It doesn't have to be red, yellow, or green. Right. Just because it's red, yellow, and green, it means it has its own inventory. So this helps you and guide you. Really get you to understand how this all works in panel and position lines of 3 settings. All right, bring it out. All right. Switch it lines of communication, screen adaptation. And then you indicate the lines of gold. Now gold signifies everything in settings. It formulates the ground centers and travels into your powers and your atmospheres. Over cross lane screen adaptation, so allows its traffic inventory to its flow. Right? But 2x1000 is extremely important. You know what you're doing with your travel lines. So if I indicate this line's the screen, it's known exactly as its coloration. Let's start with the red. Okay, it's going to tail red. Okay. Now I can change color. We can tail green. Okay. Okay? And there you can tell orange. So it's the symbolism, the teleportation changes the colors. Okay? So that indicates its system, what it's doing through settings of adjustments. And position lines are purple. It's a calculation. Okay? So that's what it is. The higher you go through the mind, the more you see the teleportation graphs. It gets more communications, traffic inventories, and you start to see the circuitry boards and position lines of its wires indicate to its system. It's more lines of webbing system, calculation line centers. Webbing system lines, that's that position. Okay. Sending circulation, rotation inside, in-track location. Okay. And then you see the colorations come out. There's an XT1000 in green. Okay. Here's an XT1000 in red, going the opposite directions in set position. Okay. And here's an XT1000 purple going into the opposite angle of direct location. With 3 lines of signals, right? So it's amazing how it just basically can formulate and change into a different color. So this is green. Now it's going to go red. Right? Green to red. Right? Green to red. And red. Red is going to go to blue. Right? Now it's blue. Okay? And purple is now going to be gold. Across the inside position. It's that same calculation. Okay? So it's amazing how the teleportations, they change colors and frequencies. They never stay the same frequency. They're always constantly changing their systems and travel. So, and always see it on a 4-line angle in set position. Right? Because you can really see the adaptations, how it works in force, recognition. Okay? Very powerful stuff. And once you understand how to maneuver your settings, locations, your pods, into higher line sequence, you come into this system like this. Start with this line signal. Okay. Get in this line signal. Different angles. Right? This line signal. Different lines of communications. Backwards and forwards. This way in setting. Set position. Okay. Find different ways to maneuver your system locations, your gauges. Because you work with the north, you work with east, west, and south. Right? Start with that setting. But in set position, you're working all the way around. Circulation and rotation right away in seconds, minutes, and hours. So set calculations. So directing this signal, going this way, and going this way in traction. All the way around, right? In a circuitry in the same direction. In set position with 3 settings. Right? See how fast to go. Now you start like this. Start with that, right? Then you go from here. See how it changes? It changes again. Okay. Changes again. Okay. And basically it changes again. And changes again. Set position. Right? So it's constantly spinning around. Getting more lines of its movement location to its maneuvering. Right? Understanding more lines of pi as you're here above looking down in set position. Okay? Know exactly what's going on, right? With your earth, because your earth rotates, circulation rotates. Circulatory. Right? Setting grounds, setting signals, location of space. Okay? And your platforms. Travel through that, which is your highways. Your highways, creating your platforms first, then you create your highways. Right? And then you expand out into your set position. Right? Then you bring in the portals and stargates of what you want to bring into vision. Right? And then you bring the XT1000s coming in. Right? And it changes its color. See? So it comes in, there's the strip. Okay. Then it goes to another dimension. Now it's purple, but it's the same XT1000. Different color, different frequency. Okay. So I'm just showing you how this all works in travel. How important it is to understand the circulation rotations what it is in settings, but always see it on four-line communication. It's fascinating when you start to see it at different angles. Different angles. Okay, set calculations. Okay. All right. But maneuvering is extremely important. The faster you go in the mind, you really get a direct signal into settings. It helps you and always informs. It really does. It really gets you to understand how to see. We can go through coloration lines of systems. We can go through purple. We can go through blue. This is all blue, right? See, blue to light blue, blue. See, dark to light blue, right? And then I can go in volume, then I can add purple to that. That overrides over cross locations. Right? So the more I add volume, the more comes out of its projection, which is extremely amazing setting. And you just bring it out. Right? Bring it out. It comes out. Right? You got your 12 foundations, you can use that in attractions. I'm just going to gold. Okay. So that's all it is. Using the foundation settings to your traffic inventory. Expand, explore, and evolve your systems. Right? Energetic dome there. Right? Moving your system through your energetic dome here. Set position. Right? And you just change the view. Okay. It's still moving, right? It's pretty wild when it does by itself. And again, change the view. Okay. And again, change the view. Okay, it just blinks, 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 blinks. So the faster you go, the more it blinks. It's like turning a light switch on and off. That's what happens. It just flashes so quickly. Now, if I add gold to this wormhole, this black hole, right, you can see it illuminated. So change color. As soon as I add color, it changes the formation of the grounds. Here's the green. You can actually travel through it. It's pretty wild stuff. So, symbolism of lines adds great that color to it, travel. Right, and you just change the position. It's all done through light. Right? So the light actually changes the illuminations right away in settings. It's extremely powerful. Let's go into red. Symbolisms are red in setting. Change the position. Track location. Okay. So the more you have fun with it, the more it gets easier through its inventory. Right? So I'm just showing you what happens when you go into higher levels, but maneuvering is extremely important in position. How the X3000 can change colors through time. Okay? Setting lines of communication consistent past, present, and future. You can alternate it, but you can actually change the frame. And when you change the frame, it's a beautiful thing. You can travel through sequence this way in settings, or you can travel this way in sequence in settings. All right? Setting portal here. Line screen adaptation and set position. Right? Or you can off screen line communications and set it to magnetic highway and set position. Right? Okay. So, but always see it in a 4 angle. Okay? Because it's constantly spinning really quick, very fast. Okay? Illuminates the grounds. I have illumination line settings. Cross symbolism. Okay. This is powerful stuff. It's amazing how it comes into a rain graph, but it's illumination and visibility lines that crosses line screen datation and traffic at its inventory that communicate through systems through space marks. And set position. Space marks. Change the picture frame. set position. Change it again. Okay. And you just wipe it out. But it's still there, it's just a higher frequency. Point graph communications. So the more you do the white mark out, the more it gets easier to see. All right, you see the imaginary line, it all comes together in sequence, in position of its frequency settings, all through travel. It's like calculations. Yeah? And you just focus on these marks. Right, open sequence. Position lines attractions. Study that. Okay, can move the line signals locations. Directing in lines. Cross location. Black marks. Red marks. Green marks. And gold. Platitude line screen. And then you see it through marker channels. Okay. The more you see an invisible line, the more you see it. It's more, it does it by itself. It creates its own platform, see? It creates its own set position, marking settings, right? Travel. And then you indicate position lines of red. Let's go through red lines. Okay, these are stop markers. And your inventory lines into your system. Circuitry line screen adaptation. Right. So let's get an X2000 settings. Travel point line. There's an X2000 above, black. Okay, so it can't go here. So it's got to go over lines across over here in traction, right? And it goes over here, overline setting. Okay. So the X2000 comes in, follows the same sequence in the same panel. Oh, that's too much noise. The line signals out through equation in set position. Okay. And then you formulate center position of lines of communication. So it's working within a map within a map. Right? How it follows. Right? Each one has its own location system. See the block centers, right? Point lines of setting, location. These are the red marks. So we indicate those. We spot those channels below the system, which is underscore and travel. Okay. And the X2000s come in white marker change. Channels position 1, 2, 6, 8, and 12. Traffic inventory. So, and then it goes in symbolisms of 1, locations of settings, security markers, direct signals, platitude lines into parameters of our lines, and then we go into green. And it sets the tone and set position. Okay? And then change it. Right? So for it to come out, you have to add volume to it. When you add volume to it, you have to add color. So you have to know what you're doing too. All of us are bringing out the volume and the color. Right? So applications, color it. Bring the color out. Bring the color, bring the color, bring the color. Right? Blotches doesn't matter. What matters is just basically you're bringing out the volume of the tracking inventories and set positions calculations. Right? It's knowing how to indicate it through travel. And then you see it through this. So you're building a map inside all through its equation. Right? Indicates the line of setting. Here's the Earth. There's X marked the spot. Set position. 3 ground centers and position lines. X marked the spot and set position. All right. Over cross location. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And setting, right? So we have a data file here and a data file here. Position of coordinates, setting. Process looping over cross location. Direct signals, right? Now we go through over line, Very powerful stuff. This overrides the system of its data sheet and lines of traction locations. Get into the communication lines, into all levels of dockings, 4 dockings in sequence, and 4 panels of communication. Right? Indicates cross line, security line, defense line, and direct signals modification. Very complicated stuff, but it's a map, right? And then we follow in. Okay. So it's kind of like, you know, you're looking at an aerial view, looking down, right? So when you bring it in, this is what it is. That's what it looks like. It's on space. See? That's what it is. It's a map. Right? So you're looking down, right? And you see it. It's all set up. And you can change it too. See, that's the beautiful thing with your Earth. You can change the positions. You can change the directions. See? It's amazing how you look at it. In all settings. Inside position. Okay. Yeah, it is. It's divisions of panels and compartments. It's just knowing how to see it through a mapping sequence. And then you can see all this. These are all structures. Right? These are all buildings right here. Right? Each one that you see. Right? So bring it in, you know what you're doing. Right? See, it's pretty powerful stuff. Right? Let's bring it around. There it is again. Okay. You can add channel markers too in settings. Inside channel coordination system travels, directing line positions, channel markers. Okay. So amazing thing you do through sonar. Add sonar lines, attractions, and direct signal. Okay, bring it out. There it is. So you see where it's indicated, right? It's right there, right? So whatever you platitude and position location saw through a mapping sequence, set and traction. Okay, it's very powerful stuff. So that's what it is. You illuminate the graphs and then you create it through the visible chart waves and set position. Here's another one. Right? And you bring it in, you see the platforms. See? And you just work on it. So you can even stand on it. That's you, standing on the platform. You bring it out, you know where you are. Right? Sets lines of communication here. You can even be inside the bubble. This is you traveling above. So you traveling above, and this is you indication right there, right? And then you just bring it in. There you are, right? Okay, area view, guys, area view. Triangulation, same position. Okay. Cross line conditions. Pyramid, right? So that's a location of grounds. Symbolism. You can add frames and track location settings, right? Bring it out, bring it in, right? So when you bring it in, it's amazing things that you can do. Right? And then you add the traffic inventories, green here. So green line signals. These are block screens in some position. You see the green? Right. You bring it out, right? And you move it channel waves, some markers in set position. Bring it in to its equation. There's an XT1000 right there. Okay. Right, see? XT1000. Boom. Let's bring it in. There it is. Okay. So I'm just showing you how powerful this is where you can really understand these things in track applications. Right, and then you know, change the color. Okay, this is the shield settings, right? It's shielding itself. So you can't see it, right? But you know where it is. Here's another one. So the more you understand the mapping sequence, it gets much easier. When you see it on a 4-line angle, because it constantly changes the system all through travel, right? See the coordinates into primer circuits, into obviously primer lines, into optical screens or direct signals and modification. Right? Coming out through channel waves, directing lines, coming out signals, 60,000 line equations. Comes out of that equation, setting lines for target and center communication. Right? It's another way of looking at it. Okay? So it's the maneuvering. It's the maneuvering. Circulation rotations, circulation rotations. Right? So it's all through a map. Okay? And then you look inside and what you've done. Okay? So that's what you guys are working on now. Okay, and then you see the structure. And then you get closer. It's like being on an airplane, then you start seeing the structure and you start seeing the grounds, right? See? See the grounds. That's all it is, guys. That's all it is. Okay? Then you know where it is. It's right there. You apply it to yourself there. Then you can just move the map. Okay? Knowing the invisible lines. See? It's really interesting when you start looking at the motherboard. You know exactly what you are in position of. So you can add things to the equation, adding frame lines. But you understand the point lines, where they are in track locations. Each one has a point. Where the XT1000 can dock their systems, add structure line division location to its settings. All through calculation. Okay? Alright. Sounds good. We're good to go on that line signal. Okay? If you have any questions or comments, we'll be on live soon. And travel. Alright? Have a great day. Bye, everyone.